Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Red Path. Welcome back to Red Path streams, hobby streams, whatever the hell we are going to call this vibe. We are back painting Angron. It's the final day. How exciting. So today we're going to be working on a really fun part of finishing off Angron. We are at a point now where we've done pretty much everything we can do with this model. But we are going to do some finishing moves, which are going to look awesome and really tie this model together. And what some of those finishing moves are going to be, and the main focus of the stream today, is going to be oil blending. Now, oil blending is a technique that not very many people tend to use, but can be incredibly effective for finishing off a model and adding lots of cool depth and interesting tones. So, you might be familiar with oil washes. They're a lot more popular, lots of people use them, and this is somewhat of a similar effect, but slightly different in that it is a more focused technique that kind of saturates specific areas with color or shadow and generates a lot of kind of life in a miniature. So effectively what we're doing is using dry oil paint. We're not mixing it with any mineral spirits, and we won't be doing any cleanup steps. What we're going to need for this is 2 brushes. So I've already started a little bit of the oil blending here on the arms. It's not really too visible at the minute because it's quite a subtle kind of effect that adds up with the more layers and things that you add to it. But the 2 brushes you're going to need is we're going to need a brush here for applications, which is this one here on the right, and you're going to need a brush for blending out, which is the one on the left. So that's why it's a little bit more feathered. Now I would recommend you use kind of garbage brushes for these, but effectively what we're going to be doing is applying tiny little dots of oil paint to areas, the darkest areas, and then blending out from those. So rather than talking about the technique endlessly for the evening, let's get started. Let's finish off Angron on this very exciting night. So I might not get to the very end of Angron on the stream, but I'm going to show you the last few finishing moves, and we're going to go from there. Okay, so let's get into it. Who's in chat? We've got Yale, we've got Mark, and we've got Green Blood Crusade, whose Angron has finally arrived. Good to see you folks. Let's begin. So right now what we're doing is we are adding the brightest of the colors to Angron for the oil blend, and it's a red. It's called Permanent Rose. So effectively what we're going to be doing is we're going to be coming into the dark parts, which is going to be like up here, and we're just putting small dots of the oil paint. We're going to bring it in down here as well. See, we're adding like minuscule amounts, and that's perfectly fine. We don't want much. We don't want to oversaturate the effect. Now you can do a few pieces at a time. We're going to add some up here as well, and this is really about, like, you know, adding directional light and tone. Can be a really good technique if you're into bust painting as well. Excellent for that. We're going to add a good bit down here. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to put down our applicator brush and we're going to get our blending brush up. What we're going to do is work outwards from this little dot of paint that we've added. We're just going to kind of feather. So yeah, we're just feathering out from this area, and we're slowly pulling out that paint. Now it's a really subtle effect, and the great thing is you can kind of work at it for a while and make sure that the blend is nice and reduced, so it's barely noticeable. Look at that, isn't that great? Look at that nice little shadow that we're dragging in. And what we're going to do is, over the next couple of passes, we're going to add some more different colors and variation of tones in this area here, and we're going to get darker and darker as we work more towards the shadow. Really helps to add and make things look more natural. So it's especially useful if you're working on a model with lots of organic elements, lots of skin. It's a technique that miniature painters often apply for you know, busts, like I'm saying, or big demons. It's incredibly useful. Less so for metallic tones. It's not so effective with those. You know, that you'll get away with your standard oil wash for those kind of things. But on models with lots of soft coloration, it's really nice. See how it's managed to blend this kind of area together? We're unifying the darkest and the lightest areas quite nicely. And it's very subtle. It's a very subtle effect, so it might not translate exactly on camera as how it is for me here, but it adds a lot of life. And I really like it. It's one of my favorite finishing moves to do on a miniature. And it's so easy, and it's actually really like enjoyable. It's very, very kind of cathartic and mindful when you're doing it. We're going to do a lot of it around the face area as well. It's going to be really, really effective there too. So let's get our applicator brush and we're going to apply some more. And I'm going to stop probably describing the technique in such deep detail because that'll get boring real fast. And maybe we'll start talking and hanging out with the chat. So how's everyone doing this evening? Are we working on any hobby? Or are we just here to watch Angron be finalized? Dean, what is up? Good to see that you're hanging out in chat. Got a little bit of time off on your break. Sorry that you missed some of the other streams, but you know, there's always room to catch up. You want me to talk? Sorry, there is a dog barking in the background and I don't want that to be annoying people. Oh, Ron's here too? Man, the whole gang is here. Thank you. The oil wash did come out nice. We're doing the oil blend now, the most clutch and OP painting technique to unleash on anyone who wants to do grimdark techniques. Look at all the volume it's adding to Angron's ugly mug. I feel like it's making him look even angrier. Hey, that's awesome that you picked out some brush techniques. It's something that I don't even really consider, you know, and I really should talk more about it because brush techniques is a big part of kind of, you know, leveling up your skill. But I think a lot of people, they just don't really realize that they're doing something that maybe not everyone necessarily knows how to do. So thank you for pointing that out. I will endeavor to talk about it more in other videos. So what's up everyone else? Ron hanging out in chat. Have you fully transitioned over to Blood Angels yet? What else have I missed? Assembling berserkers and jackals like mad. Let's go. Yale, you're back working on your Angron. That's very hype, dude. I saw the base in chat today. It was looking tight. Looking very, very tight. Some people are putting out some fantastic work with the new kits, and I am here for that kind of energy. Keep it up. You're waiting for me to add the pink sparkles, Ron? It's coming soon, bro. Coming soon. It's like the pigment layer, you know? Let's blend out on Angron's wonderful musculature here. And again, this is quite a subtle technique, you know. You need to have a little bit of patience with it because it's going to take a while to work those layers up. But ultimately, it's very rewarding when you do. And patience is really the most important thing for getting better at painting in general, you know. It's all about trying new things and practicing the techniques that you've learned about and mastering them. It's a very, very important thing is to have a lot of patience with your art. Because it's very difficult to just immediately be good at something. So you shouldn't have unfair expectations on yourself. Just take your time and practice, and you will eventually level up. You're starting to get a nice reddish tone coming out from old Ronald's now. I'm gonna add some purples and things later on as well. It's gonna be real interesting. We've already done the arms, so I won't be doing the red part on camera for those, but we will be coming back for the purple. However, I will have to crack out the wings in a moment, and I know everyone wants to see the wings because that seems to be one of those things that everyone fixated on with this version of Angron that I've done. But first we have to do the butt. Hello, Freitas. Good evening. Ron, you filthy animal. We are focusing on this specific area of Angron for good reason. So local TO has asked you if they thought they should put a 9-inch house rule for avocado in an upcoming tournament. What would you say? I would say no. Like, until there's an FAQ, we really can't know for sure what GW's intention is with avocado. So, like, you gotta err on the side of caution with these things. Like, it's all well and good to assume situation X or rule Y is going to happen, but until you have official confirmation, that is just not the case. That rule is not in existence. So, I would say until there's an FAQ saying specifically this is the situation, I would play it like avocado can end within 9 inches of the enemy. Because we simply don't know. Maybe that is the intention. It seems weird if it is. Intuition would lead us to believe that there will be an FAQ, but we cannot be certain. And it just kind of feels weird to house rule that and not other things, you know? Like, where's the line there? Where do you stop with random house rules? It's a very, very difficult line to draw. So I think the easiest situation is just to say no house ruling at tournaments. You just play things by the book. And sometimes the book is wrong, and we do have to accept that. But if you start to mess around with things, you're going to have lots of people in the future saying, hey, can you do this for me? So you open up a kind of can of worms. Oh, okay, well, I didn't realize that Casterkin are also being house ruled. If he's already opened up the worm can, then yeah. Sure. I just don't really think house ruling things for events is a good idea in general, because it does just open up the option for people to complain about it. And if you're TOing, you already have enough things to worry about rather than people complaining. But hey, what do I know? I'm just an idiot who's running Angron. Alright, let's do a little bit of work on blending out the tail here. And then we can move on to the wings. We're not going to do too much work on the tail because it's already pretty dark. We're not going to necessarily need to add too much of an oil blend to this. We will do a little bit, you know, just work that out. All right, let's grab those wings. So wing number 1. Now the wings are looking pretty nice. Here we're just going to focus on the muscle group around the dactyls that are holding up the wing. And we're just going to follow the same pattern as we did for the torso and the arms. And just work out that oil blend. And see how it's looking after this first application. I did not oil wash Angron all in one pigment. I used 3 different ones. So for the armor, I did Van Dyke Brown and Lamp Black. For the skin, I did Lamp Black and Permanent Rose. And for the wings, I did Dioxanine Purple and Cryodone Deep Pink, which is like quite a dark pink color. Just to kind of make sure that I wasn't like overpowering any specific areas with tones that I didn't want there to be, effectively. Kind of keeping things closer to the acrylic layers that were laid down, just because with such a big model, one overall oil wash of the same color isn't necessarily always going to work. So we kind of tempered it to suit the areas that we were attacking. So for the wing membranes, which are largely pink and purple, we went for a purple based one. For the red skin tones, we went for a red based wash. And then for the armor, we went with our standard kind of grimdark browny black wash. And I have to say the result was quite pleasing. And did not overpower any of the areas, which is quite nice. And now we're doing this little oil blends to add some volume to that oil wash and make sure there's not any harsh kind of transition lines that are kind of overpowering any specific areas. And just add some kind of like blood flow and stuff under the skin too, which is a nice kind of effective oil wash. You can add, or oil blending, you can add some tonality and kind of the idea of blood passing around under the skin. Like this is already a lot more lifelike as a wing, I think. Just gonna flip over and do the other side now. And again, you just want to focus these dots of oil paint down by the shadows. And work out from your darkest areas. Okay, let's flip it on to the other wig. Do. We're just gonna follow that same procedure for this wing. Add some nice little red tones in. Have a little bit of fun. Like I say, it's super subtle, this effect, but you know, as you build on it, it kind of really comes out. And it's all about adding subtle effects. You know, you don't want anything too powerful or glaring. Best effects are the ones that you barely notice, and they add up over time. Wait, what are you saying, Ron? How do I never dip my brush? Do you mean like dip it into water or dip it into paint? Because like this oil blending thing is like a really specific technique where you actually just like don't need to dip your brush. Basically, like I've got the two brushes. I have this one here that I'm working with right now, the applicator brush, which just puts a dot of oil paint on in the shadowed areas, and then we use the fanning brush to work out from those areas, and like push that paint around basically. And the reason that it's like so different is because oil paint is like such a strong color that like you need very, very little to work with. Because if you like kind of go too hard, you just like oversaturate an area with color. It's basically kind of how it works anyway. It doesn't like look so crazy right now because we're just laying down the base red tone. But like you'll see it when we start working with purples and blacks later on, that like the shadowing created by like one tiny dot of that is very, very strong. And if you were to use lots of it, it would just be super overpowering. No, I don't thin it. It's kind of part of the magic of oil blending as well, is you literally just squeeze it out of the tube, and like you need very, very little. Let me show you the palette what I'm working with right now. So this this tiny little dot, that's all I'm using, and that's way, way more than I actually need. So in that way, oil paints are extremely cost efficient because one tube will last you for years. You can do tons of really cool things with it as well. Like you can use it to filter certain areas with specific colors, like the Latara boss that I painted for Mark for Best World Leader last year. That was largely done with oil paint. After I did the acrylic skin tones, and then just kind of like filtered those skin tones with oil paints by doing this oil blending technique to add like lots of life under the skin, like blood flow and things like that, and expression. Just adds an awful lot of character to a model that doesn't already necessarily have it. And for armor, for Space Marines and things like that, you can add a lot of shadowing with it, which is really awesome. It's a real fun, subtle little technique that it's so barely noticeable, but like when you do it, you notice it while you're doing it. It's really, really hard to describe. Like, maybe it doesn't necessarily translate as something that's worth doing on camera, but if you try it yourself, like everyone that I've told to try it has been like, wow, you know what, that was a really, really cool and like helpful thing to try and do. So what we're going to do now is we are going to move on to the next color. How exciting. So before I do that, I'm just going to go refill my water, so I'll be back in just a moment. Don't do anything crazy while I'm gone. Okay, and we are back. Let's get boogieing. So what we're going to be adding next is, it's called, I'm just going to call it Deep Pink. That's the name. So it's kind of like a pinky purpley sort of vibe. And we're going to use this one to do another kind of shadowy blend on the skin tones. We're also going to start working this into the wing membranes as well. Just again being real subtle. So we're going to clean off our applicator brush, get that deep rose off, and start working on this. So let's begin with our good friend Spine Grinder here. Now this is going to be a little bit more focused. We're not going to blend out quite as far this time. And we're going to really kind of tighten in towards the shadowy areas with this. It's going to be a stronger color as well, so we have to be a little bit more careful blending it out. So let's start working on this blend and see how it goes. thing about doing oil blends as well is you work almost opposite to acrylic blending, where you would normally work from the darkest area up. For oil blending, you work brightest area up and work down into the shadows. Which is what we're doing here. That first deep rose layer was putting down the brights. Now we're starting to work in some darks. Awesome. This arm is starting to get a lot of good tone going. We're just gonna blend out a little bit down by the hand here. Show that dark coloration around where he's gripping spine grinder. Very nice. Okay. Let's move on to Somniarius. Now, I have done the start of the OSL and Somniarius, but we're nowhere near close to finishing that. We're gonna do that probably off camera because I hate doing OSL. But for now, let's focus on putting in that oil blend. So yeah, we're kind of focusing on the underside of the blend here where the shadow is going to be cast up. And it seems like a small thing, but when we bring it up we can really see that light difference then. Especially around the wrist here where he's going to be gripping very, very tightly. We're really darkening that area up to simulate all the blood that's going to be pooling in that area. It's quite a nice final effect, I think. Yo, Freitas, don't be beating yourself up. Like, don't be comparing your Angron to other people's ones. Everyone does their Angron differently, or any of their models differently. And we can all say if we look at a certain person's Angron that their one is going to look worse. Like, my one is going to look worse if I compare it to like Tabletop Tactics, like, you know, Fletcher's one, or if I compare it to like plenty of other people's Angrons. They're just going to look better. And that's just how it is. You just gotta like stop caring about how other people paint their stuff and just be like, cool, am I happy with mine? Did I do my best with this model? And if you can say yes to both of those things, then it's chill, you know? Doesn't matter how someone else does theirs. I mean, we can all push ourselves, you know, for when it comes to Angron or centerpiece models. Like, you don't have to knock it out of the park. Just try something new and see if it works. Not that I tried anything new with Angron. I stuck to exactly what I know. At least for this one. My proper Angron, I am trying lots of very experimental things. I'm like obsessing over this muscle group area. Probably going a little bit too hard on it at this point. Let's add some tone to this organic cabling as well. You're also going to join the bids for buying this Angron Freitas. I think there's a few people that have their eye on him at the minute. So, yep. I don't know how that's going to go. I feel like this miniature could be a little bit popular. Which is cool. I honestly didn't expect anyone to be interested in actually buying this thing. But, hey. If that's what people want, I will happily provide. Ron, you're gonna put a baseball bat or baseball hat or bat? Oh, baseball hat. Okay, nice. Gonna do a bit of darker coloration around this area where the nails are joining in as well. Try and blend that out. Oh, thanks guys. Being so kind in chat. I mean, I am happy with my work. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy my work. I just know that there's always something that can be done better at the end of a project. And that's totally fine. Like, I have a pretty healthy outlook on improving. And like, you know, learning going forward. And I know there will always be painters who are much better than me, which is also completely fine. I'm very, very chill with that fact. But I'm very comfortable in my niche, doing the thing that I do, this thing that I love. And yeah, if other people get to enjoy it like you folks are with this live stream, it's hell of a vibe. I'm here for it. But let's be real, Angron's face is starting to look pretty good right now. I am feeling this oil blend. You guys are catching me at my hype moment now. When I get to do oil blends, I start to get really excited because it's a fun technique. It kind of epitomizes the very slow and tedious way that I like to work on models, and rewards that progress in a very nice and pleasant way. See how just adding like a very, very slight little oil blend on this cabling is adding even more of an organic feeling to them. It's real awesome, and it's such an easy technique to do, you know? Yeah, I feel like Guri's price list might be a little bit higher than mine. That man is gifted. There's like a few people in the community that are specifically Grimdark World Leader player or painters, and that like really inspire me. And Guri is one of those. He has inspired me for many years. His work is just outstanding. The realism is second to none. And I love me some good realism. Yeah, his base, the base that he has for Angron is just out of this world. It makes me hella gel. Jealous in a good way, in a friendly, competitive way. In a way where I might have to kill him at some point. Let's move on to those legs. Let's just flip him over slightly. Work on the other side of the legs. See you later, Freitas. Have a good one. Thank you for coming to hang out on this, the final Angron painting stream. Alright, let's move on to the big wings. This is where things are going to start to get a little bit interesting. Alright, let's blend in some of this membrane. So we're not going to do too much here because we have already established a lot of blending already, but we are going to add some purple tones into the darkest areas and work those out. So kind of along the dactyls basically. Going to dot in some oil paints and then let's blend that out. Just to kind of match the tones a little bit better. This will help basically to blend in the acrylic layers in a more nicer way with each other. Kind of have a more seamless transition. See how it's like the transition is a little bit nicer on that one compared to the other ones? That's basically what we're trying to achieve here. Final pictures of Angron will probably come next week, Jay. I have a tournament with him this weekend, so I kind of want the tournament to be the first showing off of Angron. So you might catch him if you follow Broadsword Wargaming. Their Instagram page might have some pictures of Angron up over the weekend, while he is hopefully taking skulls at the events. But otherwise, I will be posting him on my Instagram next week. Dara on stream. I don't think so, Mark. I don't know if they have stream tables there. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. If I am on stream, I will be sure to let the Red Path know. Maybe Joe from Wargames Live is going to fly all the way over to Ireland to broadcast this event. But something tells me probably not. Flex how my following can boost the views. Broadsword Wargaming has a much bigger following than the Red Path does. They're quite a popular channel. That blend came out pretty nice on the wing. I think we're shadowing from the top down, working this kind of direction, you know. So we are going to work just a little bit on the other side of the wing now. Kind of doing the same thing, uniting those blends. We really need to work on this area here. We went a little bit too heavy with the oil wash, so we got to try and bring some of that color back in with this this purple tone. So we are just going to kind of aggressively fade this back in now. That is certainly looking a bit nicer. Okay, I think we have managed to bring some life and luster back to this wing membrane, which is pretty nice. So we are going to, what we will be doing next is moving on to another oil plant all over the miniature, just working in some darker purples and those kind of things. But I think we are probably going to leave it there for now, just because, you know, I'm more or less repeating the same technique as I did before. That will get a little bit boring. So what I'm going to do over the next couple of hours, just work a couple of different oil paints in all over the miniature, blending in areas that I think I find interesting, adding tones in areas where there probably shouldn't be tones, but that's just what it's going to be. But I'm going to do that off camera. I'm going to finish the OSL and I'm going to base up the bad boy and get him all ready to go for Broadsword this weekend. So for now, I think we are going to call it for the streams. It has been an absolute pleasure to stream the majority of my painting process for Angron for all of you. It's been really cool to hang out in chat with a bunch of different people and chat painting ideas, gaming ideas, and a whole host of other things. Thoroughly enjoyable, and thank you so much everyone for keeping me company, for supporting the stream and making me feel like I wasn't talking to myself. I really appreciate it, and you know, it was pretty successful. I think we are probably going to do more hobby streams in the future again. The 8-bound were strongly, I suppose, asked about, so they might be next on the chopping block. But for now, that's probably where we're going to leave it, folks. So thank you so much for hanging out, and until the next stream, until the next video, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill, maim, burn.